It's a Saturday afternoon in 1964. You're driving through downtown Indianapolis in your father's 1962 Buick LeSabre when the needle on the gas gauge drifts toward empty. No problem. You pull into the Texaco station on the corner, a gleaming white building with red trim plate glass windows and a repair bay where you can see a mechanic's legs sticking out from under a Ford. Before you've even turned off the engine, you hear footsteps on the concrete. A young man in a pressed uniform appears at your window, white shirt, black bow tie, company cap with the red Texaco star. "Fill her up," he asks with a smile. You nod and hand him the keys. For the next 5 minutes, you sit in air-conditioned comfort while he does everything. He pumps the gas, checks the oil, wipes the windshield inside and out, checks the tire pressure, and tops off the battery water. When he's done, he hands you back the keys and a receipt. "That'll be $4.38, he says. "Have a great weekend, and thanks for choosing Texaco." This was the full-service gas station. For 30 years, from the 1950s to the early 1980s, this scene played out millions of times across America. Getting gas wasn't something you did yourself, it was something that was done for you, by professionals who took pride in their work and genuinely cared about your car. They knew regular customers by name, remembered what kind of oil you preferred, and could diagnose engine trouble by sound alone. Then, almost overnight, they disappeared. The full-service gas station reached its peak in the 1960s, when virtually every filling station in America offered attendant service as standard. The big oil companies, Texaco, Gulf, Shell, Mobil, Standard Oil, competed not just on price but on service quality. Clean restrooms, friendly attendants, and additional services like tire repair and minor mechanical work were the norm, not the exception. The system worked because gas stations were more than just places to buy fuel. They were community gathering spots, sources of automotive expertise, and symbols of American prosperity. The attendant represented the best of mid-century American service culture: polite, professional, knowledgeable, and genuinely helpful. He wasn't just pumping gas, he was maintaining relationships with customers who might return for decades. The ritual was choreographed like a ballet. As soon as your car pulled up to the pump, the attendant would appear, usually before you'd even turned off the engine. "Good afternoon. Fill her up? Check under the hood?" The routine rarely varied. Pump the gas first, then lift the hood to check oil, coolant, and battery. While the tank filled, he'd clean your windshield with practiced efficiency, squeegee in one hand, spray bottle in the other, working in smooth strokes that left the glass spotless. Many attendants could check tire pressure by eye, but they'd kneel down with a gauge anyway, because that's what proper service required. The uniform was crucial. Oil companies understood that customers were trusting attendants with expensive automobiles, so appearance mattered. White or light blue shirts, pressed slacks, company caps, and name tags were standard. Some stations required bow ties. The uniform projected competence and cleanliness, important qualities when you're handling someone's car and asking them to trust your mechanical judgment. Training was taken seriously. New attendants learned not just how to pump gas, but how to check fluids properly, how to read tire wear patterns, how to spot potential mechanical problems, and how to interact professionally with customers. They learned which cars required premium fuel, how to adjust tire pressure for different weather conditions, and how to handle the inevitable customer who forgot where their gas cap was located. The relationship between customer and attendant was often personal. Regular customers would ask for specific attendants by name. "Is Jimmy working today? He always knows exactly what my car needs." Attendants remembered details. Mrs. Henderson always wanted her windshield cleaned twice because she was particular about visibility. Mr. Thompson's Cadillac burned a quart of oil every 1,000 miles and needed checking every other fill-up. The Wilson family's station wagon required premium fuel, but the teenage daughter who sometimes drove it would forget and ask for regular unless reminded. What made full service special wasn't just the convenience, it was the expertise. A good gas station attendant knew cars. He could tell by the sound of your engine whether you were due for a tune-up. He'd notice if your tires were wearing unevenly, and suggest a front-end alignment. He might point out that your fan belt looked frayed, or that your battery terminals were corroding. This wasn't upselling, it was genuine automotive care from someone who understood that a well-maintained car was a safe car, and a satisfied customer was a returning customer. The economics worked because gas stations made money on more than just gasoline. Oil changes, tire installation, minor repairs and automotive accessories provided steady revenue streams. The attendant service brought customers into the station where they might purchase these additional services. Many stations also sold cigarettes, snacks, cold drinks and basic automotive supplies. The attendant was the point of contact for all of these transactions, building relationships that encouraged customer loyalty. Different oil companies developed distinct service philosophies. Texaco emphasized cleanliness with their "Trust your car to the man who wears the star" slogan. Gulf promoted attendant service with "Gulf takes better care of your car." Shell focused on quality products and knowledgeable personnel. These represented genuine corporate commitments to customer service reflected in training programs and employee standards. The social aspect was as important as the automotive aspect. Gas stations were neighborhood institutions. The attendant knew local families, remembered kids growing up and getting their first cars, and served as informal advisors on automotive purchases. During the 1960s and early 1970s, when car ownership was exploding, the knowledgeable gas station attendant was a trusted resource for mechanical advice. The decline began in the early 1970s, accelerated by multiple factors that converged to make full-service stations economically unsustainable. The 1973 oil crisis was a turning point. As gas prices spiked dramatically, cost-conscious consumers began looking for ways to save money on automotive expenses. Self-service stations, which had existed since the 1940s but remained rare, suddenly became attractive alternatives to full-service operations. Labor costs were rising faster than gas station revenues could support. Minimum wage laws, union organizing, and competition from other service industries made it expensive to maintain the 3 or 4 attendants required to run a busy full-service station. As profit margins on gasoline sales tightened due to price competition and regulatory pressures, station owners found they couldn't afford to pay competitive wages for quality attendants. The nature of automobiles was changing in ways that reduced the need for constant professional attention. Cars were becoming more reliable, with longer intervals between oil changes and tune-ups. Sealed systems eliminated the need for regular fluid checks. Improved batteries, belts, and hoses meant fewer roadside emergencies and less frequent replacement. The weekly or bi-weekly visit to the gas station for a checkup became less necessary as cars became more dependable. Consumer attitudes were shifting as well. The generation that came of age in the 1970s was more comfortable with do-it-yourself approaches to car maintenance. Environmental consciousness made some consumers suspicious of aggressive automotive service. The counterculture movement included skepticism toward corporate service industries. Self-service technology improved dramatically during this period. Early pumps were clunky, but by the mid-1970s, user-friendly pumps with clear instructions made self-service practical. Credit card readers eliminated the need to interact with station personnel for payment. Women entering the workforce changed gas station customer demographics. The traditional model assumed most customers would be men who understood cars, but as more women became primary drivers, they often preferred the speed and convenience of self-service over potentially intimidating discussions with male attendants. The interstate highway system created a new type of gas customer, the long-distance traveler who valued speed and convenience over relationship building. Highway stations pioneered self-service, focusing on fast transactions rather than automotive expertise. Suburban sprawl dispersed customers over wider areas, making it harder for stations to build dense customer bases that made full service profitable. In small towns, stations might serve the same customers for years, but in sprawling suburban areas, customers shopped around for the best prices, reducing loyalty to specific stations. Environmental regulations changed the economics of gas station operation. New requirements for underground tank monitoring, vapor recovery systems, and environmental compliance added significant costs. Many independent stations couldn't afford these upgrades, and either closed or converted to lower overhead self-service formats. The convenience store revolution changed what customers expected from gas stations. Instead of automotive expertise, customers wanted one-stop shopping for fuel, snacks, and beverages. The gas station attendant was replaced by the convenience store clerk. By 1982, self-service stations accounted for more than 75% of all gasoline sales. Full service was rapidly becoming a premium option, available primarily at upscale stations or as an add-on service at higher prices. The uniformed attendant, who knew your car's quirks, was disappearing from American roads. The last holdouts were older stations in small towns where personal relationships still mattered, and premium stations in wealthy areas where customers were willing to pay extra for service. But even these faced pressure from chains that could offer lower prices through self-service models. What died with full-service gas stations was more than just a business model. It was an approach to automotive care that treated cars as important investments, deserving professional attention. The attendant represented expertise, personal service, and genuine care for customer satisfaction. The full-service station also represented a different pace of life. Filling up wasn't a hurried transaction. It was a 5-minute break where someone else took care of your automotive needs. You might chat about the weather or local news. It was a meaningful human interaction in an increasingly automated world. There was also an educational aspect that's been lost. Young drivers learned about car maintenance from knowledgeable attendants who could explain why regular oil changes mattered and what different engine sounds meant. This informal automotive education helped create a generation of car owners who understood their vehicles. The safety aspect was significant too. A professional attendant might notice problems that untrained drivers would miss: low tire pressure, fluid leaks, or worn brake pads. This preventive approach prevented accidents and expensive repairs. Modern gas stations have gained efficiency and convenience, but they've lost the human expertise and personal service that made full service special. Self-service works well for simple fuel purchases, but it can't provide the automotive knowledge and personal attention that characterized the full-service era. If you remember pulling into a gas station and being greeted by a uniformed attendant who knew your name and your car's needs, you remember a time when service was genuinely personal and when automotive expertise was readily available. You remember when someone cared enough to make sure your car was safe and properly maintained. Where was your family's gas station? Do you remember your attendant's name? The sound of the bell when you drove over the service hose, the smell of gasoline mixed with motor oil, and the sight of someone who took pride in keeping your car running perfectly. Those details matter because they represent a time when service meant expertise, when convenience came with genuine care, and when someone you trusted made sure you were safe on the road.